What? Hey everyone, Ron Veitel here with Siskiyou Vital Medicine. Today I am joined with Summer Waters, a new addition to our team here, and I'm super excited to be speaking with her tonight. And before we jump into that, I just want to for those of you who don't know, Siskiyou Vital Medicine is a direct primary care naturopathic clinic in Medford, Oregon, beautiful southern Oregon. And our goal is basically to provide wellness care as a membership model, and which is kind of a novel concept. Our goal is to get you well, and not to just manage disease, but to actually get you well. And so wellness is our model, and we're super stoked to be doing it. And we do Wednesday Night Live. So every Wednesday night we come to you for a half hour to answer your questions, to bring interesting topics, and to interview wonderful people. So with that being said, Summer is somebody that I met a couple of years ago, maybe not quite a couple of years ago, maybe
like that.
So it's getting close. And we have a lot of similar, as a nutritionist, I'm really picky about other nutritionists and what they're out there teaching, right? You never know what somebody's going to say. And so it's rare that I meet another nutritionist who thinks along the same wavelength as I do. When I met Summer, we had that similar approach. I met her because she is are you still the current branch?
Yes, the Weston Price Foundation chapter leader.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Exciting. So so we met there, and I got to know her a little better from that role, because I'm a Weston A. Price Foundation fan. I believe in eating as close to old school ways as possible.
Right.
Could we say
our
old school?
ancestors had a lot of things right.
Yes,
we're in agreement on that for sure.
Exactly. So she is a licensed acupuncturist. You're also a nutritional therapy practitioner.
Yes.
And a certified GAPS practitioner, correct?
That's right. Gut and psychology syndrome.
Gut and psychology syndrome, for those who don't know GAPS. But why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Like, how did you get into nutrition and healthcare and all of that?
Yeah, my story goes back, it's very personal. So I had a host of chronic health conditions, and I was just, in preparing for this fun interview time together, I was reviewing the list, and it really just struck me how different, the contrast between what my life used to be like, just really riddled with various illnesses. Maybe a short list would be endometriosis, severe and chronic gut inflammation, including irritable bowel syndrome, reoccurring bleeding ulcers, my appendix ruptured, subsequent 3 months on antibiotics, multiple surgeries. What else?
You went through the ringer, huh?
Yeah, Lyme disease, adrenal fatigue, vulvodynia, interstitial cystitis. I had diabetes. So all of those lists, that's not comprehensive. That is what my life used to be like. And then now I don't have any of those anymore. So it's pretty exciting to look at the contrast and side-by-side comparison of that, because in the moment, which was the better part of my life, really, that I was struggling with those various health conditions. So years and decades that I dealt with that level of pain and discomfort, and just how much that slowed me down from being the person that I wanted to be, the person that I think I'm here to be. I wasn't able to live my life to the fullest. And so I see that with my clients, and it breaks my heart, and also excites me that they're coming to work with me, and we get to, unravel some of those things, just like you do in your work. It's super fun and rewarding to be able to help people go from hopeless and in severe pain and just a lot of suffering with the various conditions that they have, and then watch the transformation before your eyes. It's so rewarding. So I feel really privileged and honored, and I'm super happy to have moved my practice to Siskiyou Vital Medicine recently. It's just a great fit. It's lovely to be able to hash things out with the different practitioners. Okay, I've got this difficult client. What would you do? Here's what I'm thinking. And then I get that little bits of refinement from being around other practitioners who are in the know about going back to the roots of what we need as people to heal and live our ideal lives. So it's incredibly wonderful. I love the environment here. I love that I smell, chicken soup on the stove for lunch, and it just feels like such the right match, because I've worked at other places where there's been great people, but there wasn't that level of harmony in the principles. Important. Yes, and it's just, it reminds me, like I find myself smiling, and then when I kind of feel into what's that about, I'm serious that it's been the chicken bone broth on the stove, as opposed to like a McDonald's takeout bag or something, which feels so, a lack of harmony there with principles that I'm teaching.
Shuts the appetite down, doesn't it?
It can be a little discouraging, because, I'm telling my patients to avoid those foods, right, if they care about their health, and then so I just love being in a clinic that's so holistic and out of the box thinking. It's really heartening for me.
That's awesome. Yeah. So you're a nutritionist and you're an acupuncturist. Which came first for you, nutrition or acupuncture?
Well, I guess I've always been interested in foods. I think that I attribute to a doctor friend who was the father of a friend of mine, actually, who set me down the path, probably unbeknownst to him. I've since thanked him for it, though, because he keyed me into how one food was actually harming my health with the symptoms that I was having. He was actually a gynecologist, and I didn't believe him at all. And so I omitted the food just to prove him wrong and to show him that I would still have this issue. And instead, what happened was it disappeared. And that was after, I think, 2.5 months of following his recommendation of one change in my diet. And One food. And it was
one food can do.
It really shocked me, because I did not believe it. I thought, here's this doctor, and he's like making it like my issues were insignificant. That's what I thought. I had judgment, and I was certain that he was wrong. And then I followed it just to, rule it out for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And then I was shocked.
Because food doesn't have any influence on our health, right?
How could food affect how we feel? Yeah. And so I was just shocked that it transformed that issue for me. Like, it resolved it. It was gone. And I wrote him a thank you letter. And years later, when I saw him, I told him, that had a profound effect on my life, because it really started me down the path.
It shifted your trajectory, didn't it?
It did. It was one of those pivotal moments. And I didn't know it at the time, but I was really struck by the value that I got from that, because I was completely wrong, right? I made such a mistake in thinking that, and it was nice to be shown that by somebody who obviously knew a lot more than I did. And so that really, so then in my spare time, I began reading nutrition books and collecting recipe books and trying them out, and just seeing, how did my body feel after these various foods, and what happens after I make the changes. And so it's interesting. It's just been an interesting path along the way. But then I went to acupuncture school.
Right. And so do you find with acupuncture, that nutrition aids the effectiveness of the therapy?
Very
of
much
acupuncture?
so. Very much so. And
allows it to land a little better in the system?
I think that it exponentially increases the benefit that patients get from their time on the treatment table with the acupuncture needles. So acupuncture is energetic medicine, dealing with the flow of energy in our bodies along various meridians or pathways or channels, right? So you've got this energy medicine component, which is allowing flow through the body. Like, our body wants flow. We like movement, and we want things to be flowing. And when there's a lack of flow because of stuck energy somewhere in the body, then dysfunction results. And so when patients come in and they get acupuncture, and I specialize in digestive health and wellness, then they're getting the acupuncture, and then they're also getting the nutrition changes as well, and then they go home and integrate that on a day-to-day basis. And what I find is that everything is enhanced. There's a synergistic effect with those two things, and it's just pretty magical. Yeah.
I know for me, I always find that nutrition is kind of like the foundation for anything psychological, emotional, spiritual to land. It's like that's what creates the fertile soil for real change and shifts in our physiology and our thinking and our feeling life as well in many ways.
I agree. And it's great that you bring that up, because that's actually when I first started out practicing acupuncture. Even though I had studied nutrition, it was more of a hobby and more of a personal passion for me. And I hadn't gotten official training. I mean, training's included in the acupuncture curriculum, but the focus is, there's so much to cover in Chinese medicine, herbology, and pulse and tongue diagnosis. Yeah, there's so much covered. And so the nutrition was, not at the level that I was wanting. Just a few classes was not enough for me. And so then I got trained through the Nutritional Therapy Association, and integrated that information in. And what I found was that I was getting better results with patients, which is exactly what I had found in my own life.
Makes sense.
So it does,
So from nutritionist to nutritionist. Because I know you get to ask this question all the time, because I get it all the time, and that is, look, I'm so busy, you're asking me to make changes. What's one thing that I can do? Because I want to eat healthy, but I really don't have the time. But what's one thing that I could do?
Yes, it is. That is the $1 million question.
It
right?
is. I tell them I'm working on the silver bullet.
Yeah,
don't worry.
Right. let me go get my crystal ball. Right.
Yeah, so, exactly.
Yeah, but because for some people it might be different, right?
Yeah.
For one person it might be different than another, but in general we're all humans, and there's some biochemical similarities for sure. So it's actually from this question and a couple of patients in particular who really motivated me to craft the gift that I want to offer everybody today too, which is my snack attack guide. So I made that up because people kept saying, like, I'm doing better with the changes that you recommend, in their various food selections, but their snacks were falling short because they were on the go, they're in a hurry, they're busy. I mean, we're just busy,
Yeah.
And so I understand
for the crackers and the quick fixes, right?
The convenience foods, which they're convenient at the time, but horribly inconvenient later.
And they conveniently lead you down the path of poor health.
That's right. Yes, and so it's a false convenience, I would say. And so but really, my patients are who motivated me to create that. I have a copy of it just to show people, like, this is what you'll get when you sign up. You go to summerwaters.com and enter your name and email on the right-hand side, and then you'll get this delivered to your inbox, and it'll be a much more legible version than what you can see on the camera here. But just to give you an idea, it just lays out like a category of proteins and fats to choose from, and then carbohydrate foods to choose from, which aren't those typical carbohydrate bread and crackers and those things that are those empty calories that just turn into sugar and feed the inflammation in the body, which keeps people in that lower level of health or subpar health.
Subpar health, sure.
Yeah. And so I love this. I've had a lot of moms tell me that they'll print it out and put it up on their refrigerator, and then that makes it easier for everybody. So if the kids are older, then they can go and make their own snacks from it, because you just choose one or two from each category. Yeah, and then you've got a lovely meal that a lot of times those things are made. We just don't think about it in the moment because we're hungry and we're in a hurry. And so that's why I came up with that, and I would love for you guys to take me up on getting your free copy of that, because it's so handy. Like, I've heard from many people, they're really appreciative of that. And then otherwise, to speak to your larger question about, what is a small change, or what is the change that would make the difference for people? I think for me, I like to go with, like, for generally people who come to see me, who aren't coming for like a severe issue, like bowel resection that they just had or something like that. That, just kind of average people, maybe, lower energy or feeling tired or something like that, but, not anything as severe. I think that the best thing to do is small changes at a time, because that way it makes it sustainable and you get this momentum going. And I find that can be really helpful and supportive for people, as opposed to like, here's the 50 things that I want you to do, which it's just daunting and can be overwhelming.
I always tell people 1% change every day.
And I like
if
that.
you can do 1% every day, and you think about it, if you look at it, we're trying to turn a big boat around. We're not trying to do a speedboat, immediate UE.
Yes.
Right? We're turning a big ship around, but 1% every day will lead to a pretty good shift over.
I like that, Ron. I might borrow that.
Go for it. It's all yours.
I like it, yeah, because I think that that makes it, just the bite-sized
Sure.
pieces, if you will,
digestible.
There you go.
Shall we keep the puns going?
And it just makes it more doable for people to integrate. We're just all busy. I was just listening to a recording, and it said we're busier now. We have more stuff coming at us than ever before, except for tomorrow and next week and next month, right? Because it's only getting more with all of this. I mean, this amazing technology that allows us to do this, and all of that coming at us. It's just how do we get to the bare basics with food selections that actually nourish and nurture our health rather than detract from and sabotage our health. And so it really is not as complex as we make it sometimes. I promise you guys, because remember, you heard that list, right? That list of chronic conditions that I've dealt with. The way that I got out of that was step by step. I'm not a fast mover in general. Like some patients I'll come to and they're like, no, I want all the steps now. And we'll go into it and I'll go a little bit faster for them for sure, because I want to accommodate, everybody's rhythm and pacing is different. But in general, most people I think are more like me, and we're really hesitant to change. It's just, we like our comfort foods, we've got a rhythm going with it, we know what we're doing with it, and it's difficult to integrate those changes. But I do find that those simple, small changes, which could be different for different people, because there's different things that need to be prioritized depending on each individual situation, that it's really fun to see the difference that people make. Like people come back and they'll say to me, kind of similar to my experience, they'll say, I can't believe what a difference that made.
Right.
I had recently had a patient, a delightful woman, and she was talking about how she loves ice water. And for her condition, drinking ice water was like a self-sabotage, but she had no idea of that, right? So I keyed her into why that's a sabotaging move for somebody with digestive issues and health issues in general, because our digestive system wants to be warm. It wants anything we put in that's ice cold, ice cream, for instance, the body has to warm it up to body temperature in order to digest and utilize it. So that's energy expenditure that is not necessary, right? So I grew up in Florida, and I had ice in the glass filled up to the top, and then usually, a sugary soda, Coca-Cola or something like that in there, which is absolutely disgusting to me now, but at the time, that was what I did. That was my normal. And I couldn't imagine having a drink without ice filled up to the brim. So it was a hard one for me to break as well. And now I don't ever drink iced liquids because my digestive system was my weak link as well. And, I know what it feels like to be on the other side of it, and it's so precious to me that I want to safeguard that. But that client came back in and she said, I just can't believe how much of a difference that one thing made.
Wow.
Because she didn't think it would at all. She was very hesitant, and I understand. I get it. I remember that one. But, it's great to just witness that, to witness people's awakening to like, hey, I can do this one thing. Like, that's easy.
Yeah.
Especially when they get those immediate results.
Right. When they feel the difference, that's encouragement for them to keep going.
Absolutely.
So, as an acupuncturist, I'm sure you probably experienced this, that you have patients that maybe have a little bit of needle fear.
Ooh.
Phobia.
Needle phobia. Yes.
Yeah. What do you do how do you reassure people, or how do you work with people who might have needle phobia?
Yeah, I do. I actually have a fair amount. Sometimes people will travel longer distances to work with me because I'm a GAPS practitioner. Maybe they want to work with a face-to-face GAPS practitioner. I also do long distance Skyping phone calls and different things as well all over the world, but I do love to work with people in person. And so sometimes people will drive over, from the coast or California, and to work with me doing the GAPS work, and then we'll do some acupuncture as well. And then they'll say, gosh, it's difficult to come up here, so I'm going to get a different acupuncturist where I am. And I always try to help them, and if I know somebody in the area, steer them towards a good practitioner, because I completely understand that. It's a lot for somebody to have to put out that energy to do the commute. And several times now, people have come back to me and they'll say it just doesn't work with another practitioner, which is surprising how much that's happened actually. But I guess what I kind of think, like, sometimes, because it's shocking actually. The first several times I heard that, it's surprising to me because I guess it's because I'm so sensitive that I know how to work with people who tend to be more sensitive, or who are needle phobic, or just, not big needle fans, which is understandable. And So what the things that I've done over many years now, I think again, because I'm so sensitive myself and I want the experience to be enjoyable for people, because I don't want to add to people's stress, you know, and acupuncture is actually quite stress relieving. And many of my needle phobic patients, when they start out, are, you know, really stressed about the idea of being needled. And then we'll work with them doing different...
Being needled, that's one way to put it.
Well, you know, and then what ends up happening oftentimes is that they'll tell me, I can't believe how relaxing this is. Because in their mind, you know, psychologically, they're thinking, I'm going to be needled and it's going to be painful, you know? And so instead, what typically ends up happening is that people doze off during the treatment and, you know, are kind of amazed at how their body, you know, responded and was appreciative of the information rather than traumatized by it. So, you know, the needles that I use, so I mean, one of the basics, which seems so basic to me, is you go with really high quality needles. So you pay a little bit more for them, but it's totally worth it because it makes the experience so much more enjoyable for the patients. So I'm always looking for the best and most up-to-date tools. And for years, I have not found needles that are better than the needles that I use as my general standard go-to needles, except for recently. I'm thrilled that there's, because, you know, it's kind of a tight market and there's not like a whole bunch of change in there. And even when we look at with our naked eye at a needle, they all look the same, you know, that the actual needle portion of it looks the same. You can't tell anything by looking at it with your naked eye, but an electron microscopic picture of it will show that there's like barbs coming off of it. It's pretty intense, and you can definitely feel that when it's going into the body. So, you know, those would be like low grade needles, which I absolutely do not use, and I test all my needles on myself for sure. And then these new needles that I'm using, I'm just really impressed with them. And so I didn't tell them my few needle sensitive patients, like my top needle sensitive patients that I have currently, I didn't tell them that they were a new needle because I wanted to see if they would tell me, if they would, you know, notice the response. And sure enough, they all said, you know, wow, these needles are feeling better today. And so it's really nice. Like, I love getting that patient feedback because that's, you know, that's what helps me to continue to refine and get better and better. So certainly needle selection, and then needle technique, you know, how we do that. I like to work with the patient, not on the patient. So I'm really big in the patient being involved and telling me like, wow, you know, as I'm needling a point down in their ankle, I feel that, you know, up in my lower belly. And that's right where the channel flows, right? So it tells me that their body's responding really quickly to that. And then of course, you know, another patient might say, you know, I don't know, something about that needle. And then I can just do a little micro adjustment, super gentle, and then there's no more pain for the person. So I think partly maybe practitioners aren't telling patients, like, tell me what's going on. Right. You know, because I'm not in their body.
Feedback, right?
Absolutely, because nobody's a bigger expert than the patient on what's going on in your body. And then the other thing that I utilize, which I just adore, is this little device called an alpha stem. And so we've got some cables hooked up to it here, but it's just this tiny little device, and I do this now for all of my patients. So if they get on the table, they're going to get the alpha stem treatment as well, because it's just an add-on treatment that I love. I mean, there's no additional charge. I just love to integrate it into the session for people, and this is great. So it's great for people who don't have any needle phobia at all, but if you do, it's very simple. You just attach this to the earlobe like so, and then another one goes on the other side. And then there's a small current that runs through, but it's not like zappy or electrical. It's not, I mean, it is an electrical device, but it's not.
You don't feel electrical stimulation.
Yeah, so you just, you know, it's just put on like this, and this is when the patient's laying down usually, unless we're, you know, I'm doing something, you know, in a different room than the treatment room. And, you know, so I'll turn this on, and it'll be, I do it very low and gentle. And so some of the patients will refer to this as the sleep machine. They'll say, don't forget the sleep machine.
It helps shift brain waves, does it not?
It does.
Yeah, so it shifts the brain waves into alpha waves, hence the alpha stim, which is a very relaxed brainwave state.
Which makes the body more receptive to the information that they're getting.
It helps put us into parasympathetic nervous system state, which parasympathetic is rest, digest, and repair. And that's what we're trying to do when we're working with healing techniques, is repair.
That's right. So it maximizes the treatment effects, and people love it. And I the biggest report that I hear, it's actually FDA approved for use to help with sleep, pain anywhere in the body, and depression and anxiety. So those are the 4 on-book uses that are actually FDA approved. And then there's additional many uses that I've used for it as well. So it's a really fun device. And actually, I'm going to be doing a class about this in April, but the date is not yet set, but it's going to be somewhere in mid-April, either the 2nd or 3rd week of April. And I'll definitely get that out to you. It's another reason to sign up to be part of my tribe at summerwaters.com. You'll get the snack attack guide, and I'll send out an announcement about that for sure, because I want as many people who are interested to come. Because if you have sleep any of those 4, sleep challenges, pain anywhere in the body, depression, anxiety, this is a godsend. I mean, it's kind of amazing what this does, and I really want to teach more people about it. And I'm actually going to have the Northwest representative for the company come down and talk about it as well. And I've studied directly with him, and he's great. And I just think that it's a great opportunity. The patients who have invested in one of these for themselves have done, I've heard nothing but positive feedback for it. So this can make the difference of, things manifesting into much more severe issues, because you can use it for acute issues as well. So I have some patients who live farther out, and they'll use this to save a trip into the hospital, for instance. Like if they sprain an ankle, they can treat with this and then not, have to go in and do all of that stuff. Minimizes the pain, minimizes the swelling, and drastically minimizes the healing time for injuries like that. So it's just a pretty lovely tool. I'm not much of a gadget girl, but when I find one I like, I'm pretty thrilled about it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I have a medical doctor friend who has an alpha stim and loves it. So
right. Yes.
Yeah. All right, so I have a feeling we're getting close, although I don't know what time it is, but I have that inner sense that we're getting close. So to wrap it up, one, who's best served by your services? And 2, we're going to roll this all into one. I know you are offering a special introductory deal. So who's best served by what you have to offer, and what is this introductory offer that you are?
Yeah, I'm kind of excited about this special introductory offer that I put together just for Siskiyou Vital Medicine members. And so I'm making it available for the first 20 folks who want to do some work with me to call up. We'll get you scheduled, and I'm going to do a 50% off deal. So I'm making it a no-brainer. If you want 2018 to be your best year yet and for you to maximize your health and feel better, come on in and be one of those 20 people. And I just am really excited to work with you. I did make some notes. Let's see. This is going to include a review of your top health concerns, a nutritional assessment, tongue and pulse diagnosis, and then also an ear acupuncture treatment, and also, of course, the alpha stem treatment will be included. Nice. So, yeah, so that's what I'm sending. Can I? Yes, Ron, bring your friends.
I need a nutritional consult.
No, I know that's not true, but I can get you on the table, and then you can speak to my needling ability. That's true. I have not needled you.
No, I haven't had acupuncture in a really long time, actually. Yeah.
You gotta get that going. I've been getting settled in here.
Awesome. Well, I'm stoked that you're offering an introductory offer. That's like a double thing, offering an introductory offer. But I'm stoked that you're doing that for our members, because they need to get to know you and have an experience of your acupuncture sessions and what it's like to have a treatment from you. So
I'm excited.
I'm excited too. I'm glad. So for you members out there, do not miss out on this opportunity. This is a great chance for you to come in, get to meet Summer, get to experience what it's like to have a session with her, to get some acupuncture. You can compare notes as far as nutrition is concerned. I'm sure she's a lot better at it than I am. So
we compliment each other, and you're gonna get told the same things probably, and then you'll be like, "Wow, they both said that. Maybe I gotta do that."
Awesome. Summer, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for coming on to Wednesday Night Live.
Yeah.
And let's see, announcements. So tomorrow day, let's start in the day, right? So tomorrow night, I had to look at my calendar there. Tomorrow night, starting at 6:30, from 6:30 to 8, we have our healing tapping circle with Maria LaPuma, who is a phenomenal stress management professional.
I highly recommend her.
Yes. You'll hear me say this all the time. She's a Jedi. She's total Jedi, ninja, samurai in the realm of emotional and stress healing. So
very valuable.
So tomorrow night, 6:30 to 8, she has her modern healing circle, energy tapping circle, $10 to $20 donation. If you've not experienced this, I highly recommend that you come in, because this is she will give you tools to help you navigate stressful and difficult situations in your life, including making new food choices or breaking food addictions and patterns. So, because she is a food and psychology coach as well. So she's a phenomenal asset. Please come out to the Healing Circle and get an experience of that. And then Monday, we have the last of our Life Mastery Series class for February, which is on heart health. And I will be doing a little bit of heart coherence education for that class. So if you haven't been to one of the Life Mastery Series classes yet, please come. They're really fun. You'll get a nice Kundalini yoga session as well as some phenomenal education. So thank you so much, everybody, for being here for Wednesday Night Live. Thank you again, Summer.
Thank you.
Really appreciate your time.
For
Come see us next Wednesday, 5:30, same time, same place, kind of like Batman. We'll be here. And thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.